Hi Booktube! My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with a tag video. Now I normally don't do tags, but I've seen this one and I thought it was super cute and I had it on my list of stuff to do and I thought, oh, let's go ahead just for funsies and do a tag today because this video is going to be going up on Tuesday for Tag Tuesday. So I saw this on a number of different people's channels. Criminali did it, Michael K. Vaughan did it, but this is the Booktube Cat Tag. So it's silly, it's fun, but you know, that's the great part about tags is that you don't need to take them super seriously, guys. So this is all about your cat or your pet. I think Michael did it for his dog. But anyway, so we have a cat. Technically there's two in the household, but let me do a quick explanation for those of you who may be new to my channel. So back in January of 2020, my father passed away. And my mom was here in the house by herself. And then the pandemic hit and I was out of work and my husband was still working, thankfully, but I was out of work. So financially it was a little bit difficult. So my husband and I actually moved in here with my mom. So we're all kind of like looking after each other, helping each other. Garrett and I are actually hoping to move out. We're thinking next spring, because 2 or 3 years is just enough time and you know, we're all kind of ready for our own space. So that being said, when we moved in, I had 2 cats, Goran and Bernard. And sadly, last August, Goran passed away at the ripe old age of 16. And I miss him terribly. He was my buddy. I know, you don't play favorites with your animals, but Goran was my buddy. Yeah, he was the best cat ever. Anyway, Bernard is just as awesome and we still have Bernard, but my mom has a cat named Presley. So the thing is though, is that my husband is the cat whisperer and the cats all love him. And we've jokingly said, like, if we move out, chances are Presley's probably going to come with us because we don't know if he can be separated from Garrett. So anyway, yeah, so technically I'm only going to talk about Bernard because Bernard is technically my cat, if that makes any kind of sense. So, the first question here in the tag is tell us about your cat. So as I said, his name is Bernard. He is probably 15 or 16 years old at this point. We actually don't know. We got him from a shelter about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. I can't remember. So we had Goran originally, before I even met my husband. I had Goran and Logan, and they were actually brothers from the same litter. I'm going to try and find pictures to pop up here for you guys. I have an affinity for black cats, by the way. So we had Goran and I had Goran and Logan, and they were named after characters from Law and Order. Detective Mike Logan, who a lot of you may know also as Mr. Big from Sex and the City. I'm not talking anything about Chris Noth. I'm talking about the character himself because I know there's some controversy right now with Chris Noth, or there was recently. And then Goran, of course, was named after Detective Robert Goran, played brilliantly by Vincent D'Onofrio in Law and Order: Criminal Intent. So we all got along famously, and those two were my buddies. They were the sweetest cats. And then Logan unexpectedly passed away right around the time he was 10. So not long after that, Goran had been used to having like his brother with him all the time. So Garrett and I went to the Humane Society, the Toronto Humane Society, and we adopted Nicholas. And Nicholas was a little black and white tuxedo cat, and he was a sweetheart. We think, though, that he was sick when we adopted him, and they just didn't tell us, because he passed away after about a year. But he was an older cat. The way I think about it at the end of the day, sorry, it makes me so sad to think about, is that we gave him a good life. Like his last year wasn't spent in a cage at a shelter. It was spent in a home. You know what I mean? So anyway, after he passed away, and he came with the name Nicholas, and it wasn't until later that I realized that I kept my Law and Order streak going because I had forgotten that Jeff Goldblum was on Law and Order: Criminal Intent for a very brief period, and his character was Detective Nicholas. So it worked. And then after Nicky passed away, we adopted Bernard. And they said he was 10. And again, it was like 5 years ago plus. He had come from, we're almost certain, from an abusive home or an abusive something. That poor cat has been through so much. He is so skittish. He doesn't like a lot of people. He likes us. He won't even really go near my mom, and he's been here for like 2 years. He doesn't like loud noises. Like if my brother comes over with the kids, he immediately hides under a chair, under the bed. Garrett's really the only man that he will go near. He has like a ring around his neck because they think that he was like tied to a tree. It was horrific. Like whatever this poor cat went through was horrific. So, you know, we give him a wide berth. He, you know, like he will come to you on his terms. And yeah, so he's a little sweetheart. We call him our Muppet too, because he's just got that face, that kind of Muppet looking face. But yeah, named Bernard after, of course, Detective Bernard from Law and Order, the original series, played by played by Anthony Anderson. Kevin was the character's name, Kevin Bernard. But Anthony Anderson played him, and was actually in the new run for the first season of the new run, the remake of Law and Order, or the revamp. And I love the revamp, by the way, you guys. It makes me so happy. So anyway, yeah, my streak has kept going. I still have plenty of names to choose from for down the line when we get more cats, but I love this show, Law and Order. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling on. Okay. Tell us, number 2, what would be your cat's favorite book? So my first thought on this one was that nursery rhyme, Three Blind Mice, because Bernard is our mouser. He has caught several mice over the years. We jokingly say he's earned his keep here in the household. And he does the whole I present to you. Look at how smart I am. Yeah, so I was thinking Three Blind Mice. So when I looked it up on Goodreads, I'm like, it's got to be part of a book of fairy tales. I came across this book and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to read this one, but it sounds like something Bernard would be into anyway. And that is Three Blind Mice by Agatha Christie, which is actually a novella. I have not read it. By Agatha Christie, I've only read And Then There Were None and Murder on the Orient Express. But this is another locked room, closed door, you know what I mean? Like closed circle mystery. And again, it's a novella. But Bernard, he's evil. No, he's not evil. He's perfectly evil, as we like to say. He's, like I said, he's not the most affectionate cat. He's a good mouser. I just think that if he were a human, he would be an amazing detective. That very hard-nosed, you know, noir type detective, that would be Bernard. Number 3, use the first letter in book titles to spell your cat's name. So I did get a stack of books here. I had a lot of fun with this, and I pulled these all from my category romance shelves. So here we go. Let's have some fun with this. Bernard. So Blind Trust by Laura Scott, which is a love-inspired suspense novel, part of the True Blue Canine unit. Let's forget the fact that there's a dog on the cover. Bernard would have none of that. But yeah, so there is our B. E. Okay, E was a hard title to find, you guys, but I got Ellie, Cowgirl Bride by Trish Milburn. This is a Harlequin American romance novel. And then R, we have Running for Her Life by Beverly Long, a Harlequin intrigue novel. N, we have a Cheryl Woods. Now, this is actually a bind-up. So this is Next Time Forever by Cheryl Woods. And then Secret Christmas Twins by Lee Tobin McLean. So yeah, this is a 2-in-1 best-selling authors collection series. And I do love these so much. I don't even know if Next Time Forever was the original title of that. Yeah, no, it was. It was first published in 1990. So it was republished here. We have that. A, we have An Unexpected Scandal by Jules Bennett, a desire novel. I love that cover. I think it's so delightful. And then for R, we have an old Janet Daly. This is Riley's Woman, and it's an old Harlequin Presents novel. Yeah, so there's that one. And then last but not least, I think it worked perfectly for Bernard. As I mentioned already, he is a mouser. We have Deadly Hunter by Rachel Lee, which is a Harlequin romantic suspense novel for the D in Bernard. So there is his stack of books spelling out his adorable little name. So he goes by Bernard, Mr. B, the Bean. The Bean is the most popular, or just Bean. I don't know where Bean came from. I think it came from Mr. Bean. Like, we started calling him Mr. Bean, like the character, played by Rowan Atkinson. And then it just became Bean. So he's our Bean. Next up, what is your cat's relationship with books? He doesn't know how to read, unfortunately. So, but he would much prefer, like, if he's laying beside you, and if you're reading, just do what you're doing. Ignore him. That's it. Bernard is perfectly content to lay beside you and ignore him. So you don't have to worry about, you know, having to stop your reading to pet him. Because oftentimes, if you pet him, as we say, if you touch the bean, you get the means. Claws and teeth come out. He's not the most affectionate cat. but he can be a sweetheart when he wants to be. I'm not trying to say that he's a horrible, evil cat, because he's not. He's a cat. What is your favorite book with a cat? So, I have two here that I listed. So the first one is a series, and it's the Cat Who series by Lillian Jackson Braun. The first book was The Cat Who Could Read Backwards. This is the first cozy mystery series. I don't even think back then it was considered to be a cozy, but this is a mystery series with an amateur sleuth. This series is long since done. If you are looking to read this series, omit the last, like, 4 books, 3 or 4 books. They were not written by Lillian Jackson Braun. They were written by a ghostwriter, and they are horrible. Absolutely horrible. The original books, though, in the series are fantastic. It's about a man by the name of Quillerin, Quill, as he also goes by, and he's a hard-nosed reporter for the Chicago Tribune, and he is owner of 2 Siamese cats named Coco and Yum Yum. And he came by them, like, in the first book is when he gets Coco, and then it's, I think, book 3 that he gets Yum Yum. And anyway, he solves crimes and murders. And so the first so many books take place in Chicago, and the first books were written in the 1950s or 60s. So take that with a grain of salt, that they might not be up to the standards of today in terms of the way women are portrayed. And this was written by a woman, or the way minorities are portrayed. So do keep that in mind. But as the series goes on, he ends up moving to this place called Moose County, which is 400 miles north of everywhere. I think it's like Minnesota or something like that. And he gets some money, and it's him and the cats, and again, they're solving crime. It's delightful. I love this series so much. It was one of the first series that I read after I kind of graduated from reading more YA books into these books. And my nan loved them, my mom's mom, and that's kind of where I picked them up from, and they are delightful. The other book I want to mention is The Next Best Thing by Kristen Higgins, which is hands down probably that one and The Best Man are my 2 favorite Kristen Higgins books of all time. So this one is about a character by the name of Lucy, and this book broke my heart and just made me so happy at the same time. Like, Kristen Higgins can do that so well. There were scenes in this book towards the end that I was sobbing. So in this story, Lucy is a widow, and I guess all the men in the family die young. So, like, her mother's a widow, her aunts are widows, you know, that whole scenario. So her husband passed away. But before the book even starts, like he had passed away, like, years ago. But over the last few years, she's been in this relationship with actually her brother, or her husband's brother. I mean, the husband's dead, so clearly she's not doing anything wrong. But they're just kind of having a good time, if you will. And the whole book is about her, like, can she move on? Can she, you know, like, her mother never remarried, her aunts never remarried. They were going to be widows for the rest of their lives. That's all that there was to it, but Lucy wanted more than that. So there's a scene at the end of the book where she's in the cemetery, and it just, I need to give this one a reread, maybe in November. This book was so good, you guys. So, so good. And all of Kristen Higgins' books, the main characters always have a dog, but this is the only one that she has a cat, and the cat's name is Fat Mikey. And the cat's delightful. So yeah, so those are the 2 books for that one. The next one is Find a Book on Your Shelves with a Cat on the Cover. I'm cheating on this one a little bit. I'm going on my digital shelves. So this I have on my Kindle. And we have Crazy Stupid Bromance by Lyssa Kay Adams. This is the 3rd book in the Bromance Book Club series. I have read this one. The cat in this, I can't remember the cat's name, but the woman in this story owns a cat cafe called Toe Beans, that's what it's called, which is what, you know, the cat paw, like you see the little, like, markings on it, those are referred to by a lot of people as toe beans. So that's what, I think the cat's name is Toe Beans, or maybe it's, I can't remember if it's the cat or the restaurant. One of them is called Toe Beans, but this was a really cute book. I really like the cover on this one. Next one is Find a Book on Your TBR that has the word cat in the title or a cat in it. So I'm actually going with another series. I know I've got some of these on my Harlequin shelves, but I wasn't able to put my hands on one of them because they're all a mess and I need to get them organized, and I keep saying that. And that is the Fear Familiar series by Carolyn Burns. So the first book is called Fear Familiar. It was published by Harlequin Intrigue. These are much more a mystical, supernatural type series within the intrigue line. So there was more than 20 books in this series. There's like Familiar Christmas and Familiar something and this and that. And it's literally about this black cat who is a familiar. If you think about a witch's familiar, a black cat who helps, I guess, but he's mystical. So he helps solve crime or mysteries and what have you. It's a cheesy and delightful series. I've read one or two of them, but I need to read all of them. So yeah, I don't know if I have this one in particular on my shelves. I don't think so, but I wanted to show you guys the first book anyway, just because. And the last question is, who would you like to tag? I'm not going to tag anybody because I don't know who wants to do this or who has done this or who hasn't done this. But if you want to go ahead and do this tag, please do. And yeah, until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. I will try and insert some video of Bernard, but he's a little standoffish, so I don't know if I will. But if you see it, you see it. Talk to you guys later. Bye.